Thank you so much, Justin, Cheah, Operations Director from Kechara Soup Kitchen, for joining us this morning on the Light Breakfast. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. Well, the new norm is happening now. So we are back to our usual operations now.
Okay.
Well,
Now,
besides helping the homeless people,
okay.
and we are also delivering groceries to the poor families that we have already registered in our database, producing PPEs, face masks. There were requests from the public and also hospitals. So we are glad that we did deliver the amount that they requested.
Okay, let's rewind a little bit because this is the first time I'm talking to you because I want to find out about the first time you actually volunteered at Kechara and like what actually motivated you to volunteer at a soup kitchen.
Well, let's put it this way. I had nothing to do in 2007. I was just like everyone else. I mean, I have a day job to do, and weekends we'll just hang out and chill out with friends and whatnot. And I bumped across this society. Back then, it was just a community action group, and I was very touched by what they are doing, especially the founder himself, Sam Rinpoche. And he started it about a year before that, and I was like, what's homelessness? I mean, I've never heard of it. All I knew was okay, probably there were some of them who was sitting by the roadside and asking for donations. And my probably very naive thought back then always thinks that they have a home to go back to, but that was a wrong perception that I had. And when I decided to join, because since I have nothing to do, and then that's why I joined for the first time, and it opened my eyes and changed my perception about them completely. Because
when you said you had nothing to do, means like this was a part-time thing on the weekends.
It was just volunteering. I mean, okay, let's just go and have a look. I mean, for the sake of experiencing it. And to be honest with you both, I have never done any sort of like a significant charity before. I mean, volunteering myself on a free time, that was like significant for me already. But before that, you know what, the wee bit of a charity that I do is actually by putting my loose change into a donation box, and that's about it. But after that, it kind of changed my perception completely, and I've decided to use my time more meaningful way by volunteering in Kechara. And that time it was really, it's just a few of us, and we would drive down onto the streets in KL to look for the so-called clients. We don't call them homeless people, but the perception here is like, when we see it, we see it from an angle of someone who will be able to help this person who is having this sort of suffering and bring them into a situation where they no longer need to suffer. So in short, what I found about this organization is that they put a solution based. They are very much a solution based. They want to help this person. Started off with just food to build the trust before developing even further to see how are we going to help them. Let's say recommend them jobs or send them to a shelter home or rehab center, or basically probably this guy just needs a little bit of help, replace his lost documents so that he can move on and no longer be a homeless.
Well, from 2007, when you first started out volunteering at Kechara, you are now the operations director. So what does that entail? What does that designation entail?
I didn't join them as a full-time until it was 2008, late 2008, because I was very much into it. And by then, I see the project very clearly. It's all about helping this person to move on from their current situation. And we started registering them. So I was like thinking, hey, you know what? I was really very, very interested in this job. And I never knew that I can actually have a career that meaningful. You know, I was a banker. I was running my own small business back then, but it was just merely you go for the work just for the survival or money, you know,
Yeah.
and that's about it. And now I can do a 180 percent or degree turn to do this meaningful way, and yet just to support my simple life. and and I decided to go ahead because the founder was very inspiring. Everyone was very good. And when we are talking about a project that we want to see development in this particular human being, not just one, but there were hundreds of them back then. So slowly we see more and more people. It's not like during that time the situation became worse and a lot of people became homeless. It's a matter of just because our network was that small. So if I join, then there will be probably more people coming. They needed someone to coordinate. They needed someone to go and talk to sponsors. They needed someone to rally people together and know how to deal with cases so that it can be of help. You know what? I mean, one Justin Cheah cannot do anything, but you have a lot of people with the similar thoughts, then you can help definitely more people. And that's how over the years, we have developed a database of them, understanding them better, started having more volunteers coming in to help me with other daily chores so that I myself and a few selected ones can concentrate on the few cases that we have been working on for the year, so many years. And that's how the hierarchy grew.
Okay.
And now I'm like, okay, you know what? I direct people. So it's like operations director. I just don't do the job so
Okay.
called, but I very much love my time on the ground. And that kind of, it gave me a lot of experience that I will never be able to get
Excuse me.
somewhere else. From being on the ground and then coming out to talk to people, inspire a little bit here and there, making sure that the job is done in a proper way, SOPs are being met. You know, that from the on the ground to a little bit off the ground, it kind of like gave me, oh, okay, you know what, this is the whole picture of it. And I'm now sitting here as an operation director, but you know what? The title just changed, but work is still the same.
But how difficult is it to run a soup kitchen, especially here in the heart of KL? You know, tell us about the day-to-day operations of a soup kitchen. What is needed to be done?
Okay, from head to toe, first of all, someone would have to come in early in the morning to make sure the rice is there. To make sure it's being prepared, and then to make sure the vendor will deliver the required dishes they prepare, and to make sure everything is in place, and then everybody's ready for 10 a.m. We open our doors, and then slowly the homeless people comes in. Then we are always ready to see if there's anyone new or we have to follow up, or this uncle or that particular auntie, she or he turns up because we need to follow up with some matters. So that is only first half of the day. So we serve lunch from Jalan Imbi. There's a soup kitchen building that we maintain since 2010. And on the other hand, while doing that, we also have another set of staff providing information or coordinating stuff to arrange some food for the poor families. So we also run a food bank program here. So we realized over the years that there are people who are suffering now on the streets. Each of them actually have a family, and I mentioned about the database, right? So from the database, we kept about probably now it's 9,500 over people who have been homeless before. Yeah, not at one single time, but it was collected over the years.
Okay.
And we have done studies, research, and whatnot. And we have found that a lot of them are actually from the urban poor or poor community. And it was because of the upbringing that is not so complete, just like us. They didn't have a so-called good upbringing to equip themselves to be able to compete with others, or not just academically, but also probably in their mindset and also what you call that situations that comes in, how will they react and all that, and that has led to what they are today. So due to circumstances in life, so we started off with a food bank program also in 2012. So there will be another set of staff handling requests or make sure the food parcels is being delivered to these particular families and all. And then our truck drivers will go around to the hypermarkets partners that we already have now, such as Tesco and Aeon. And also the Zero Food Wastage Initiative with Tengku Zatasha. We go around, collect the food. So everything is happening at the same time. And then also now we also have the empowerment program. We are training some ladies at the moment who are actually our beneficiaries, food bank beneficiaries. So they kind of like stuck at home because either because they are a single mother and they have young children to take care of, so they can only go that far to make a simple living and make sure they come back quickly enough so that their kids are safe. So they can never get a decent income. So we train them with some stuff. I wanted to show you some products of our empowerment project. So immediately we have orders, we will train certain qualified or people whom we feel that they are okay to do that, and they earn the income from there. Yeah, so everything is happening at the same time, and obviously you need a lot of people behind me to do that. I can't be doing all it by myself. But what I'm trying to say is like these three main what you call it, primary program that we have is running at the same time on a daily basis. So there's a lot of communication. People will usually call in and not just that, our Facebook, messages from our hotline. So and that is just probably, I would say probably 70% of our work. Another 30% is actually, and that 70% is nationwide, So in Penang, Johor, Kelantan, Negeri Sembilan, Malacca, all that are happening at the same time. And it's round the clock because why? It's a surplus food rescue program. So people usually have food to give away at different timings. So it's really round the clock and across the nation. And that remainder 30% is actually dealing with people, other volunteers, and also dealing with sponsors, people who would like to volunteer. They need to be briefed. They had to understand what sort of program that we have. So in a day, usually, when Steve messages me, it's like it takes a while for me to reply him because we were just so busy with things. So everything is happening at the same time, but we are glad that we have come to a stage where we are able to handle everything. Everything is very stable, and we need more committed people. And thanks to the committed people, the current batch, because otherwise we would not be able to grow. We need someone to be very committed in, let's say, in Kelantan, someone very committed in Johor Bahru, so that we don't have to worry, and at the same time, people are being benefited.
So everything is running like clockwork now everywhere around Malaysia, but then we hit a road bump with this MCO, and I hear that you lack manpower at the moment.
Yeah,
But you're still continuing to feed the homeless. Can you tell
that's
us
right.
about some of the challenges that you're facing right now during the MCO and the CMCO?
Well, the CMCO is necessary. Just look around. It's now improving, and it was necessary, and we just have to abide with it, and make alternative plans. Otherwise, we'll be stuck, and things are not being done. So the initial challenge was because we weren't sure if we are actually the essential service in our mind. Yes, we are.
Yeah.
But what about the government? But finally we get to meet with the relevant authorities, and there's a coordinated way to deliver, make sure this food reaches out to the homeless who in that moment, beginning stage of the MCO, they're still out there. So we're kind of worried what can be done for them, and in a more safety measured protocols. So so the worry is whether they will have food or not, and then the what about the families that we have been serving them? So will they run out of food? Will they have even masks to use? So our worry is like whether we will have enough food or not with this MCO, and there will be restriction of movement. How are we going to get food delivered? Or how are we even going to get food? Or are we allowed to go around or not? So there were a lot of worries. And the last thing you want is volunteers ourselves get into these problems of contracting the pandemic and spread it around as well, because there were some who doesn't even have symptoms. So the challenges are a lot, and we had countless online meetings, chat groups, and at the same time we had to think of a way how to go about it and make sure people have food. So that kind of like put a really big challenge, and it's something new for everyone in the world, and everybody is just not sure how close are we supposed to be, how are we going to do that with just two people. I mean, there were regulations back then. They were saying that, okay, you're only 2 person from an NGO are allowed to at any point of time to deliver the food with the help of relevant officers. At first it's like, how are we going to do that? But in the, speaking from on the ground experiences, we used to have a lot of people coming. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of them over on the Saturday night. Both of you, after this, when things are settled, must come to our rounds.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, then you can experience yourself. So we're talking about how we're going to make sure everything is in place. So that's where we talk to JKM, the welfare department, and they've been very forthcoming, and we have worked for a very, very long time. So after the mix and match, also we found the so-called middle way to help the people in need, and that's where also the government took the initiative to rescue the homeless people and make them comfortable in shelters allocated in various places. So they make sure that they're not going to group all 700 in one particular building, but they split it around.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is the government doing a lot to help these homeless people during the MCO? Because the NGOs are a bit they're restricted by the MCO. Yeah.
Yes, they okay. Well, in many other countries, it's the same model. So everybody's using the same model that, okay, the government will be proposing this plan. Let's work together, and each one of us play a part. So it's not just government alone, but government is more like the the protocol or procedure setting. Okay, we have this problem here. What are we going to do? And how are we going to make sure they have food to eat and all that? So a lot will be done onto the coordinating part. Who's going to give food on this particular day? So we as NGO will go and rally the people or whoever sponsors. And then, to be honest with you, there were a lot of people who are very forthcoming. They even texted me, they called me, what are you going to do? How are we going to make sure food are there? But sorry, I can't come over. And you know what? In my heart, yeah, don't come. You know, I mean, we are trying to be not paranoid, but we are also planning to minimize the risk, and that's why we come to a conclusion that we will have this 3 person in team A, the other 3 or 2 person will be team B. So team A and team B doesn't meet together. Yeah, and we make sure the food are being delivered, and all the someone will be working from home, so she will be coordinating stuff. So, okay, Justin, this tomorrow 10 a.m. here, and tomorrow day after tomorrow there will be someone else. So initially it was still very blur, if I may use the word, for the lack of better word, because we were not sure how much of a risk are we exposed to.
Yeah.
But as time goes by, and then you know what, the first time, second time, third time, everything, when you make sure the protocol is there, then everything become clearer, and we are now more equipped, at least PPE wise, or mask, face mask, you know, we sanitize ourselves. So we knew the protocol. So just to make sure that everybody follows and nobody gets contracted with this disease, and food being delivered to the people in need. So that was the initial challenge, and then we have a lot of roadblocks. So we try to find ways how to get past it. But we have the letters, thanks to our what you call it, the authorities who also gave us cooperation. So it doesn't take us too much convincing to the police officers that we are actually trying to help. So over the time, and then their problem is they just don't want people to gather together, you know, in the end of the day. It's not that, oh, you know what, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's just not that. It's the worry behind it. And once the meeting point meets, then you know everything is settled.
So if you meet the SOPs, they're okay with the NGOs still running the charities. But how do you manage with so little staff now that you used to have 100 over people, volunteers helping you? I mean, are you still able to feed as many people, or it's been greatly reduced at this point?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, for the homeless people to be in the shelter, that kind of like made our job easier. But at the same time, our worry for them is much lesser, because we will know that they're there and they're safe, and they are one of the higher risk people, as you might know. And as for the poor families, since we already have their addresses, the contact numbers, and it's a given, we have already planned the food for them. So we will have a very, we stick to that schedule of delivery schedules. We make sure, okay, 1st of May, someone will get the food. Okay, this group of families will get the food. So all they need to cooperate is like, probably they will have to come down from the flats or their house to collect the food one by one, without, you know, maintaining that social distance.
So these are all like cooked food? You only give them cooked food, or groceries as well?
Groceries as well. Apart from cooked food, so cooked food is mostly concentrated for homeless community, as it's easier. Whereas the provisions are mainly focused for the poor families that we have been helping. So, and so that they can prepare the essential, at least the basics are there, you know, the rice, the cooking oils, biscuits, flour, oats, drinks, you know, and many of them, and even buns. So we also collected some buns, and also surplus food from Tesco was very helpful. So they're able to maintain their lifestyle during that period, and furthermore there were BPNs available, you see. So they don't have to pay rents for the next 6 months and so on. So that kind of a relief, it is a sense of relief for them as well.
That's good. Now, have you ever considered though sort of shutting down temporarily until this whole pandemic blows over, just to minimize the risk for everyone involved?
Well, it has never been a question for me. That one is strictly is a no-no. I mean, this you see, I mean, this is the time where they needed us the most. And we can't be saying, okay, you know what, we're going to stop it and we are not going to do anything. We might have to consider a lot of, from a lot of angles. Yes, we are worried, and I myself is worried as well. But when you see people suffering and you hear them and all that, and you've been taking care of them, so you will worry. But the best part is like, how did we made alternative plans? So that's where Impact Malaysia was very helpful. We work with them, and they have the people who can run around. So all we did is like we make sure the food is there, so they come and collect and help us to deliver. So that was very helpful. And that's why how 5 person can feed like thousands of families. You get what I mean? So and then yeah, the worry is very little from our part, at least, but worry is much more for the people who might not have food, enough food,
Yeah.
or probably those who are not even in the radar of that VPN.
It's because it's even worse right now during the MCO, especially for a lot of people who
Yeah.
live day to day on a daily wage, and they don't get
Yeah,
jobs. They don't
in
get
fact, quite a lot
food.
of them. Yeah, quite a lot of them. I mean, when they had to stop work and they are not getting paid, that's the worst thing to happen. But I'm glad to hear, because there are some, even when they couldn't go to work, their bosses are kind of like quite kind to them. Make sure that they have enough to survive through. Let us work this together. Yeah, I'm the business owner. You are my staff. You might be my employee, but let's do this together. Let's make sure both of us are okay, and just drive through. It kind of like, this MCO kind of like brought us closer together.
That's great. Like,
Yeah.
we've been talking to a lot of people from NGOs or people who started their own initiative, and they all say that at this point in time, Malaysians are so generous and so kind in donating all sorts of stuff. And I mean, but can you share a story of one of the, homeless or the urban poor who have been struggling during this MCO? Maybe one story that you truly felt impacted by. Yeah. How did your team help him or her?
I was very touched by this lady by the name of Madam Nawamani. Yeah. Well, she has been taking care of her son, bedridden by a serious illness when he was very young. So now he's in his probably late 30s. So he's still bedridden, and he has always have emotional struggle. So Madam Nawamani is a single mother. So her daily course will be going out to work as a cleaner very nearby, and come back in time for lunch, just to make sure the son gets food before going out again to go to another house to do cleaning and stuff. So, and then she has to make sure she comes back in time for dinner as well, so that the son will be in good shape. Yeah. So, but the problem is, Madam Nawamani walks to where she's supposed to go, and it's not like every day you get to clean people's house. And challenges is now, because of MCO and because of the pandemic, a lot of people are very worried if anyone were to come to their house, and that's not supposed to happen, you see. But for her she defied that so-called order, although she infringed into the law. But the police officers were very sympathetic of her situation and allowed her, okay, you know what, just go, just do this, just help in their way, whatever way they can. I mean, she's having the mask, she's wearing the mask, it's fine and all that. So when she's not able to go out at all because there were no one ordering from her, so people would just chip in a little bit of money for her so that she has enough to buy food at least. Yeah, it was very touching when we delivered the food parcels to her. She was collecting it off from and putting it in the shelves, and then the son was crying, and I felt very it's like people like this, we are able to help during this critical time. It is very meaningful in a way. I mean, I live 13 years of my life in an NGO just to make sure people like her gets the necessary help. So it's really touching, and I'm having goosebumps now as I'm talking to you. So it's really in a bad shape, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But looking at how this the CMCO, it's going to be extended now until June 9. How do you think this will further impact the homeless and the urban poor community?
I honestly speaking, I mean, for sure, economic wise, it will take time to recover, and that would mean our urban poor families will have probably lesser ways to find income, or even NGOs like us might experience a slowdown in donation. And you know very well, I mean, donation keeps us alive, and we need this to continue operating. There will be even more people coming forward to come and ask for help, and that will not help us because there will be more people coming to help and less people helping. So that will definitely impact us. As for the homeless people, I think the government is currently making some plans to see how else to improve the situation. Homelessness in our country, the problem is not so bad compared to many other countries. It is still in a manageable situation, and it is a symptom of a developing country. One of the things that happens, homelessness is there. It's bound to be there. I mean, tell me, only North Pole and South Pole don't have homeless people. So, okay, probably they live in igloo.
Igloos.
You don't know.
They can build their own igloos.
Yeah, so they are not considered homeless as well, then again. So, I mean, jokes aside, it is, we foresee there will be more types of help for them, and this will be very much welcoming. And as our society always, the motto is we want to help them to get off the street. That is the main motivation. Then it couldn't delight us more hearing this. So we hope that the people will be in the shelters, rehabs, or get retraining skills program and whatnot, so that we will have lesser amount of people on the streets, and at the same time there will be even more welfare measures to be given to the poor family, so that we can reduce the flow of people dropping into the homelessness situation in the future. So yeah, it's very critical. Economic wise, it's going to impact them for sure. But we are very optimistic that people whom we have been helping so far will be able to maintain, if not progress from here. And no doubt this pandemic is causing us a lot of problems, but at the same time it has kind of like brought us together as a nation. I think we are one of the few countries who are so-called considered doing very well in handling the situation, which I must take this opportunity to thank the frontliners and everyone, I mean, from the doctors to the cleaners who brave themselves in the hospitals, and every one of the NGO volunteers who took out their time and their fear. When you come out and you're not wearing masks, then you're very, it's kind of like odd. So everybody's like, okay, I want to help people, but at the same time, I want to make sure I'm okay.
Yeah.
So how are we going to do that? So this is going to be the new norm. So we are still outlining some SOPs for our volunteers. We haven't really opened ourselves yet because it's still CMCO.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens in future.
Recently, the government, I think this was only DBKL, they sent 500 or some homeless to Sitiawan for work and whatnot.
Yeah.
Were they part of the group that you used to help? Does that help
Mm.
Kechara at all?
Yeah, we for your information, we distribute the food around KL in big cities like in Penang and JB. So it's good to know that the homeless gets job offers. So
Mm.
let's hope everything will pan out nicely for them,
Mm.
and yeah, and we look forward to hear even more good news from other companies who are willing to take them on a regular basis. Especially now, I think the government is going to crack down on the foreign workers and whatnot, because they are like from this situation itself, we can see there is a huge gap that I think the government needs to put effort into screening the foreign workers and make sure they are all registered, they're legal and whatnot, so that they can contain this particular virus at the very least. And that could open up more jobs opening for the locals to go and capitalize on.
Yeah. I know, Justin, you're pretty overworked right now, running a 5-man show to feed
It's
hundreds
better
of
now. It's
people.
better now because
Yeah,
it's
but how do you keep yourself going? Like, how do you stay motivated and keep doing this, even despite all the challenges and all?
I mean, when you look at Madam Nawamani's case, this is kind of like keep us motivated. You know, I mean, when you see people running towards you for the food, then that's really severe for me. I mean, when we were they ran down from the flat when they saw a truck coming towards the area, and they are able to help each other. And that kind of like kita jaga kita, that semangat, you know, that the spirit that people so naturally come together, that kind of pushes forward as well. And seeing so many people wanting to contribute in their own way. I mean, I even saw a friend of mine whom I have not met for probably 20 years just pop up in front of a food bank and drop off food. I was like, hey, how come you're so familiar? And and you know, people like her who didn't even bother to tell me about it, they just come over and drop it off and just go back. That was the plan until she realized I was around. So people like them, you know, touches us a lot, and we want to repay that kind of a kindness so that we, you know, just mobilize for the poor. And I feel the appreciation there, and appreciation from the public, from the recipients as well. This kind of like pushes even further. You know, to be honest, this MCO or CMCO had not been like passing it so quickly. I know, I cannot imagine it was just gone. I mean, this is the second month we are in.
Yeah,
it's like it felt like just probably 3-4 weeks ago. You know, I mean, for me.
yeah, because
Yeah.
your every day is
You're so
so
busy,
packed, right?
Yeah, we were so busy and we worked around the clock, and all the communication, all the worries that we had, everything. So it's kind of like pushes on. You know, once you start the ball rolling, you don't want to stop it.
Okay, but what advice would you give to Malaysians who want to help but they don't know where to start?
Okay, very simple. I think for the time being, just be safe. Make sure you understand the protocol here. How you're gonna help. Make sure you're protected. You keep yourself hygiene all the time. Bring along your sanitizers. Bring along extra masks just in case we ran out of masks. And gloves. So we expect everyone to wear gloves as well here. So try that out first. If you haven't volunteered before, try to understand the situation, and very much encouraged to follow the protocol, especially team leaders' instruction, so that they are protected. We can only protect ourselves at this moment. We can't save someone else if we ourselves are exposed to the risk.
So you're accepting new volunteers even now?
Well, not at the moment, because it's still CMCO.
Yeah.
So we we gave a
Once it's
list.
lifted, right? Once
Yeah,
it's
we gave a
lifted.
list to the authorities. Okay, these are the people we need from time to time, but we want to make sure team A, team B, team C doesn't come together at one and once incident. So we will split ourselves well, and after CMCO we should look into it again. So I'm sure there will be a lot of people coming forward to help, but at the same time, it's our priority to make sure they themselves are safe first.
Okay. So
Actually, speaking
if
of,
Malaysians, JD.
sorry, yeah, you go ahead.
No, but
Ladies
if
first.
Malaysians want to donate like food, if they have surplus food, or if they have, they run a small kedai runcit or something, and they want to donate provisions, can they still do that at this point?
Yes, yes, they can. All they need to do is contact our hotline and then make arrangement to have it delivered to our doorsteps. And then we will do the sorting and whatnot, and we will repack it before being delivered to another family in need. So as if you're a restaurant owner, you can actually prepare meals for us, make sure it's halal first, and then we will see how are we going to arrange the logistics to pick it up from you and deliver to where it's intended.
Yeah. JD, you had a question?
No, I'm good.
All right. Okay, I think we're done here. Thank you so much, Justin, for speaking to us. And thank you for all the good work that you're doing with Kechara and helping the homeless and the urban poor. And we hope that once this is lifted, we will also be able to go and join you for one of your
Yes.
rounds. Yeah.
Yes, please do come. It is very interesting, and it will be very. I promise it will be an eye-opening experience for both of you.
Okay. Thank you so much.